Leo. The phase where money felt heavy, resistant, or constantly demanding effort has reached its end. Not because everything suddenly changes overnight, but because the lesson that required struggle is complete. When a phase expires, it does not announce itself with fireworks. It reveals itself through relief, through the absence of pressure, through realizing you are no longer fighting the same invisible battles. You may feel a quiet pause, as if something stepped back. That pause is not stagnation. It is closure. Closure creates space. And space is where a new financial rhythm begins to form without force. This message matters because many Leos mistake the end of struggle for uncertainty and rush to recreate pressure. Do not do that. What is ending now is not momentum. It is resistance. Stay present with this moment. Recognizing the end of struggle is how you prevent it from repeating. Leo. When the struggle phase with money expires, the first thing that changes is not your bank balance. It is your internal posture. You stop bracing. You stop preparing for the next hit. That release can feel unfamiliar, even unsettling, because struggle became the signal that you were moving. Without it, the nervous system needs a moment to recalibrate. One sign the struggle phase has truly ended is reduced emotional charge around money decisions. You notice fewer spikes of fear or urgency. Bills, plans, and conversations feel more neutral. Neutral does not mean careless. It means balanced. Balanced decisions protect progress far more effectively than reactive ones. Another sign is timing smoothing out. You may notice that money-related matters resolve without escalation. Delays shorten. Responses come back cleaner. This does not feel dramatic. It feels orderly. Order replaces chaos when struggle leaves. You may also notice that you are no longer forced to choose between bad options. Choices feel clearer, even when options are limited. They feel cleaner. Clean options do not drain energy. Energy preserved becomes capacity for growth. There is also a shift in effort. You stop pushing in places that resist and start responding where momentum exists. This is important. Struggle taught you endurance. Now, endurance is no longer the main requirement. Discernment is. Discernment directs effort where it multiplies instead of dissipates. Another indicator is boundary strength. You find it easier to say no without guilt. You stop over-explaining your value. Clear boundaries reduce leakage. Reduced leakage often feels like slower movement at first, but it stabilizes income quickly. You may notice that money conversations change tone. Less defensiveness, less justification, more clarity. When communication improves, agreements hold. When agreements hold, trust increases. Trust supports consistent inflow. There is also a psychological release. You stop replaying past mistakes. Reflection turns into learning rather than self-criticism. Learning informs future choices. Self-criticism only drains energy. You may feel drawn to simplify. Fewer accounts, clearer budgets, cleaner routines. Simplification is not restriction. It is consolidation. Consolidation strengthens foundations. Another sign is patience increasing naturally. You do not force outcomes to feel safe. Safety comes from structure now, not urgency. Structure creates predictability. Predictability reduces stress. You may also notice that opportunities feel different. They arrive without pressure. They do not demand immediate sacrifice. This difference matters. Opportunities that respect your pace tend to last longer. Leo. The end of struggle does not mean effort disappears. It means effort becomes effective. Effective effort does not exhaust you. It supports you. You may feel relief mixed with caution. Relief because pressure lifted. Caution because you do not want to lose momentum. That caution is understandable. Do not convert it into urgency. Urgency rebuilds old patterns. Another indicator is gratitude appearing quietly. Gratitude stabilizes attention. Stabilized attention supports clarity. You may notice improved sleep or steadier energy. Physical regulation often follows emotional release. Trust these signs. The struggle phase ending also changes your relationship with risk. You no longer swing between avoidance and desperation. You measure calmly. Measured risk supports sustainable growth. You may see that future planning feels less intimidating. The future feels manageable. Manageable futures invite strategy. This phase does not require dramatic action. It requires recognition. Recognition prevents you from recreating struggle out of habit. Stay present with the relief. Let it settle. Relief is not laziness. It is completion. As days pass, observe how often things resolve without force. That ease is the confirmation. The struggle phase expired because you outgrew it. What follows now is not ease without effort. It is effort without resistance, and that changes everything. Leo. Beneath the feeling that the struggle phase has expired, there is a deeper structure explaining why money no longer requires constant resistance. Struggle was never random. It was a training environment. It taught endurance, prioritization, and discernment. Once those lessons integrate, the environment changes. What you are experiencing now is not luck. It is readiness meeting a different set of conditions. The deeper shift begins with nervous system regulation. For a long time, pressure acted as a motivator. Pressure created movement. But it also narrowed perspective. As regulation improves, pressure is no longer needed to act. Action becomes responsive instead of reactive. Responsive action protects resources and reduces error. Reduced error compounds quietly. Another layer involves identity consolidation. You are no longer operating as someone trying to escape instability. You are operating as someone building continuity. Continuity requires fewer dramatic moves and more reliable ones. Reliable choices accumulate advantage over time. You may notice that urgency feels unnecessary now. This can feel strange if urgency once signaled progress. In truth, urgency was compensating for uncertainty. As certainty grows, urgency dissolves. Dissolved urgency makes room for foresight. There is also a structural pause happening. Old methods that depended on hustle or pressure are losing relevance. They are not failing. They are completing their role. Completion creates space for systems that function with less effort and more consistency. You may feel increased sensitivity to waste. Waste of time. Waste of energy. Waste of money. This sensitivity is refinement, not scarcity. Refinement removes what would drain you later. Another deeper aspect is emotional neutrality expanding. Money decisions no longer carry the same emotional charge. Without spikes of fear or excitement, the mind searches for familiar stimulation. The absence can feel empty. In reality, it is stability forming. You may also notice a wider time horizon. You think in months and years rather than days. Longer horizons reduce the impact of short-term fluctuation. Reduced fluctuation awareness can feel like loss of momentum, but it is maturity. There is a release of comparison as well. You stop measuring progress against others. Comparison fueled pressure. Pressure fueled struggle. As comparison fades, struggle has no reason to persist. The deeper pattern includes trust in systems. You rely more on routines and processes than bursts of motivation. Systems operate quietly. Quiet operation feels different from effort-driven movement. You may feel tempted to recreate struggle to confirm momentum. Resist that urge. Artificial pressure rebuilds old cycles. Let calm guide action. Another layer involves self-respect. Solidifying, you are less willing to trade peace for gain. This boundary may temporarily slow inflow while it protects long-term accumulation. You may notice clearer discernment around opportunity. Fewer options feel right. That narrowing is not loss. It is focus. The deeper message is that struggle expires when alignment replaces resistance. Alignment does not announce itself loudly. It reveals itself through ease. This phase is temporary in sensation, but permanent in structure. Once defaults change, behavior follows automatically. Do not judge progress by feeling alone. Observe behavior changes instead. Behavior changes confirm realignment. You are not behind. You are beyond a phase that no longer fits. Between struggle and ease, there is a quiet space. That space is where integration happens. Allow it. When movement resumes, it will feel steadier and easier to maintain. This is how phases end, not through collapse, through completion. And completion is the sign you are ready for what comes next. Leo. This is where the meaning of the struggle phase expiring becomes unmistakable. Because once resistance leaves, you can finally see how much energy it was consuming. Revelation here is not about money suddenly arriving. It is about realizing that your baseline has shifted. You are no longer operating from survival. You are operating from direction. What becomes clear now is that many past financial blocks were not external. They were internal responses to pressure. Pressure shaped decisions, timing, and tolerance. As pressure fades, choices become cleaner. Clean choices accumulate advantage. One revelation is about effort. You see how much effort was spent just holding things together. That effort did not build. It maintained. Maintenance under strain is exhausting. Now maintenance feels lighter. Lighter maintenance frees capacity for growth. Another revelation involves timing trust. You no longer force movement to feel safe. You allow information to arrive. This patience is not passive. It is informed. Informed patience captures value at the right moment. You may also recognize that money conversations feel simpler. Less explanation. Less defense. More clarity. Clarity shortens negotiations and reduces misunderstanding. There is a revelation around self-respect. You no longer accept arrangements that drain you slowly. Not from anger, but from clarity. Clear standards reshape outcomes without confrontation. You may notice that confidence feels quieter. Quiet confidence does not fluctuate with opinion. It rests on experience. Experience earned through struggle now supports ease. Another insight surfaces about risk. Risk is no longer something you fear or chase. You size it. Proper sizing allows participation without threat. Threat-fueled struggle. Measurement ends it. You may see how earlier restraint paid off. Words, not spoken. Moves, not rushed. Those moments preserved leverage. Leverage multiplies outcome without strain. The revelation reframes success. Success is not acceleration. It is continuity. Continuity carries prosperity forward without burnout. You may feel relief realizing you do not need to explain your progress. Progress speaks through consistency. Consistency silences doubt. There is also clarity around boundaries. Boundaries feel natural now. Natural boundaries protect resources and relationships simultaneously. You may notice that setbacks integrate faster. They no longer spiral into self-criticism. Faster integration preserves trajectory. Another truth is about comparison. Comparison has lost relevance. Without it, decisions align with your values rather than others' timelines. You may recognize that your energy levels are steadier. Steady energy supports regular action. Regular action compounds results. The revelation also explains why calm feels unfamiliar. Calm was not available during struggle. Familiarity with calm takes time. Allow it. You may see that long-term planning feels easier. Easier planning reduces anxiety. Reduced anxiety improves execution. Another insight involves responsibility. With ease comes responsibility to maintain alignment. Maintenance is simpler than recovery. You may also notice gratitude for lessons learned during struggle. Those lessons refine judgment. Refined judgment sustains growth. This phase reveals that struggle was not wasted. It trained you for this baseline. Now that baseline has changed, you are not meant to recreate pressure to feel progress. Progress now feels quieter. Quieter progress lasts longer. This is the revelation. The struggle phase did not end because you escaped it. It ended because you completed it. And once completed, it does not need to return. From here, money moves differently because you do. And that difference is permanent if you allow it. Leo. What completes the end of the struggle phase is not relief alone, but how you protect this new baseline so resistance does not quietly return. When struggle expires, the instinct is to either relax too much or rush to capitalize. Neither is required. What is required is stewardship. Stewardship keeps ease from turning into complacency and keeps momentum from turning back into pressure. The spiritual message here is grounded and practical. Ease is not the absence of effort. It is the absence of friction. Friction returns when habits drift. Habits stay aligned when attention is placed gently and consistently. The first action is rhythm protection. Keep your daily and weekly routines steady, even when motivation fluctuates. Regular review of finances. Consistent pacing of work. Clear start and end points to your days. Rhythm stabilizes behavior when emotion is quiet. The second action is boundary maintenance. Do not reopen agreements, habits, or conversations that drained you during the struggle phase. Even curiosity can reopen doors that no longer serve you. Boundaries protect energy. Protected energy compounds progress. The third action is restraint after relief. When things feel easier, resist the urge to overcommit. Overcommitment recreates pressure. Choose commitments that fit your current capacity, not your past survival mode. There is also an internal discipline to hold. When anxiety appears out of habit, do not treat it as a signal. Treat it as residue. Residue fades when not fed. Return attention to what is functioning. Another anchor is gratitude without urgency. Appreciate smoother days and cleaner decisions quietly. Urgency often sneaks in disguised as excitement. Calm appreciation keeps alignment intact. You may notice temptation to prove that the struggle is truly over. Proof is unnecessary. Consistency is proof. Let days stack without resistance. The spiritual lesson here is trust in maintenance. Maintenance is not boring. It is powerful. Maintenance allows growth to happen without damage. If challenges arise, respond minimally. Minimal response prevents escalation. Escalation rebuilds old patterns. There is a grounding practice to lock this phase into your timeline. Each evening this week, note one moment where you chose ease over force. Note it privately. This reinforces the behavior that ended the struggle. You may feel lighter and slightly unsure at the same time. Lightness is confirmation. Uncertainty is adjustment. Let adjustment complete. If you feel aligned, you may choose to anchor this phase outwardly by leaving a comment with the word complete. This is optional. It is not for validation. It is for closure. Naming completion can stabilize it internally. Silence is equally valid. Leo. The end of struggle does not mean challenges disappear. It means challenges no longer define you. You meet them from direction, not desperation. As weeks pass, notice how often money-related decisions require less emotional energy. That neutrality is evidence that resistance has not returned. Do not rush to scale. Let stability prove itself. Proven stability supports sustainable expansion without strain. You are not required to monitor progress constantly. Trust the systems and habits you have built. Systems carry progress forward when attention shifts. This is how the struggle phase stays expired, not through vigilance, through alignment, maintained gently. What once demanded force now responds to clarity, and clarity allows movement without exhaustion. Carry this posture forward. Let ease be normal. Let effort be effective. Let resistance stay gone. This is not a pause. It is a new way of moving, and once embodied, it does not need to be learned again.